I work with an organization called International Peace Initiatives. International Peace Initiatives is a network of people interested in working to mitigate the impact of HIV and AIDS, poverty, and violence, as these affect the lives of women, especially women living with AIDS, and children, especially children who've lost their parents because of HIV and AIDS. At IPI, we believe that peace is not the absence of war. It is not merely the absence of war. Peace is when people have resources to meet their basic needs: education, health, infrastructure, water, and not experiencing violence in their lives. At IPI, we teach women living with AIDS and children who have no parents that they dare dream, they dare do, they dare trust that they can change the circumstances in their lives. I am here today. When I met Beatrice in 2004, she had been looking for me for 2 years, because I had organized a group of women living with AIDS to support each other and to register their organization so that the government can recognize them and support them, even though at that time in my country, the government was still burying its head under the sand with regard to HIV and AIDS. If today, 300,000 out of 2.4 million Kenyans who are living with AIDS are the ones who are getting access to medication, then figure how it was in 2004. And so when I went to see Beatrice, she said to me, "Please make sure my son goes to school." At that time, I hadn't met a woman who was so badly ill with HIV and AIDS, and she could hardly talk, she could hardly lift up her head, but I sat there holding her hand, not able to talk. And when she said, "Make sure my son goes to school," Vincent, her son, was outside this little hut where Beatrice lay, digging, 10 years old, not going to school, because his mom lay on that bed. And so, I'm here today because of Beatrice, to keep the promise. HIV and AIDS, poverty, children in crisis, violence. And when people hear about these things, they are like, where is the future? Where is the hope? Thinking in the old way, I had grown to look at people living with AIDS as the other, orphans as the other, street children as the other. Not even really bothering to find out why are they there. But in me, there was this feeling of pity. And then I came to DU, and I learned. But some of the most important things I learned were this: that the assumptions that I carry about people when I meet them will either enhance a positive relationship, an enabling relationship with them, or it is going to dehumanize them. And so when I met Beatrice and the other women who were living with AIDS and all their children, I had to sit down and figure out what kind of human being did I want to be with them as I stood with them to battle these challenges. Who did I want to be? And so I had really to figure my own marginalization through the assumptions that I carry about others and myself. And truly, as a woman growing up in Kenya, I tell you, you have to figure out yourself very quickly, because culture, the way we are socialized, patriarchy will catch up with you. And so I had to figure out who I was as a human being, as a woman, to be able to work with these women to fight or to overcome these challenges. And for me, education was the one thing. I tell these women and I tell myself, education is the one vaccine that we need to free women from all the things that bind them. Education for me is the husband who will never let me down. You meet a woman like Gladys. When I met Gladys in 2003, her husband had just died. She had a 2-week baby, a 7-year-old girl. She was deathly ill, but she didn't even know that she had HIV and AIDS. She wanted to kill herself and her 2 children because the family of the husband said that she's the one who had bewitched the husband. They had evicted her from her matrimonial home, and she didn't know where else to go. So I told the women, stand with Beatrice. Her CD4 count was so low, she couldn't take medication. But the support that the women gave her and embraced her enabled her to live for 2 years to be able to take ARVs once her CD4 count went up. So these women think they're helpless, and they think that they're hopeless. And the grandmothers who are left with these children are like, what can I do? I have no job. I have no land. They live in slums with their children, with their grandchildren. The kind of aid and support that they've gotten over time has created a syndrome of dependency. They expect all good things to come from outside. They take no responsibility for their perceived helplessness and hopelessness. And so what we've done at IPI is that we have created a strategy. I call it the network of enterprise because it is integrated and it connects with all the various parts of their lives and the context within which they experience disease, poverty, and violence. And the pillars upon which it rests are education, enterprise, and empowerment. Remember, I began by saying we dare them to dream. Education shows them, gives them the information that they need to create the knowledge, to build on their capability and their skills so that they become self-reliant. So education enables them to dare dream. Enterprise, the jewelry projects that we create with the women, and all the other income-generating projects enable them to create an income for themselves. They dare do. And then empowerment. They dare trust. They dare trust that they have got what it takes to transform their circumstances. And the results, children go to school. We have created a beautiful home for them. We have created income-generating activities that enable the children to learn other things other than just academic education, that enable them to see that they can do things that will give them income, to create savings for even children who are orphans, young girls who are hopeless, young girls who were being misused or experiencing sexual exploitation, do get an opportunity to figure that they actually can transform their lives. The right kind of action can change the course of history, creating opportunities for generations to come, creating a legacy forever. My work has taught me, working with these women has taught me that action from the heart transforms lives. Action based on love and not fear changes lives. I have learned that no matter the depth of the trauma, of the circumstances that women have lived through, once they get education, once they are able to take charge and control of their lives because they have a source of income that enables them to stand for themselves, for their children, and for their communities, nothing will stop them. Resilience, courage, And the trust that they build, that they are able to change the circumstances of their lives, transforming their lives, is really what enables me to move on. And so I have learned that hope is not what we seek in evidence. Indeed, or rather, hope is what we become in action for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for our nations, for the global family. Working with these women, I have found who I am. Working with these women has taught me to give the human face, recognizing the humanity of every person, no matter who they are, no matter their circumstances. Because once I recognize the humanity of another, I create a relationship that transforms whatever the challenges that we think we face. Indeed, these women and I recognize that we have become the hope we've been looking for. Thank you. Thank you, Beatrice.